Good evening. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Robert McNeely. President Trump will be attending a Kennedy Center board member dinner this evening. So we look forward to bringing all of that to you on this fine evening from Auburn, Alabama, of course, covering inside the Beltway tonight, Washington, D.C. Always a joy to be with you. As many successes, many victories today for the administration on this Monday, May 19th. Perhaps the largest coming across this big, new, beautiful bill that has been encouraged by a number of different people in business, whether it be CFOs, CEOs, to those leaders across the country who are confident that President Trump's big, beautiful bill is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to make good on the promises Republicans have made, and that's why advocacy groups and other stakeholders are coming out in droves to urge Congress to immediately pass the landmark bill. Just some of what these leaders are saying. American Exploration and Production Council CEO Ann Bradbury, on behalf of America's leading independent producers of oil and natural gas, AXPC urges all House Republicans to pass the budget reconciliation and advance President Trump's agenda to unleash American energy. This legislation takes decisive steps towards improving our nation's energy landscape by repealing the Biden-era methane tax, unlocking oil and gas development on federal lands, and alleviating regulatory pain points that have stymied the build-out of American energy. Passing the bill is essential to secure America's energy dominance through smart, durable reforms. And today, President Trump also signing the Take It Down Act into law, championed by his lovely wife, our First Lady, Melania Trump. Now, this was situations brought together in a bipartisan manner by Senators Ted Cruz and Amy Klobuchar, among others, focused on people who were exploited online without giving consent with these deep fakes. You might have heard of this with AI and other technologies. And as the First Lady put it today in that Rose Garden ceremony, very scary to think about that these AI technologies, the advancement in technology in general, really a gift for humankind, but at the same time, someone might use it for ill or wrong. And we saw that with many minors who were exploited sexually online. And she wanted to make sure that this did not happen to any other family. In fact, a South Carolinian legislator, his son actually committed suicide because of how he was taken advantage. So this bill, this new law, addresses that with the Take It Down Act. Imagine just that your child is in high school or even younger, and then they are exploited online, and people think it's them in compromising photos, videos, whatever it may be, and then they can't get into certain colleges, can't get certain jobs because people think that they're involved in something that is nefarious or just something that they don't agree with. And that's why this had to be done, and really an amazing moment for those family members who were victims to stand up with those in the future to make sure that this does not continue. So thank you to President Trump. First Lady Melania Trump, outstanding work. And he actually had her sign that bill into law right under his signature. A special moment for President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump today in the Rose Garden with many of the secretaries in the cabinet, also staff members at the White House, Senator Ted Cruz behind him as well, amongst other dignitaries and the in-town press pool. About an hour ago, President Trump also celebrating those who lost their lives with a new Medal of Honor, if you will, for those in police enforcement who are struck down in the line of duty. Tiffany's carrying that out with a new medal that the president had commissioned. Eric and Laura Trump also there on hand, on site, with those family members who had victims in their family falling in the line of duty. And he said, now we're going to honor our police officers because these are the people who put on that uniform every day to protect, to serve. They love their communities. They want to give back. And in this day and age, it's something that is really remarkable. And when we have that video ready for you, we will play back some of that from the Oval Office just earlier this evening. Very worthwhile and very interesting that this new medal will be given to police officers, their family members who have fallen in the line of duty. But back to this big, beautiful bill. Just some of the other leaders who are talking on this from Numbers USA. For decades, Congress has promised to secure the border and failed to deliver. The House Reconciliation Bill delivers on the promises of building the border wall, 10,000 new ICE officers, as well as detention beds, historic funding for Customs and Border Patrol, and a tax on money illegal aliens send out of the country. The Trump administration needs this funding to deport illegal aliens, and millions of whom entered the country over the last 4 years. The American people voted in mass this past election for reforms, and that has come to secure our borders, return to law and order, and a return to constitutional governance once again in the United States. And now that video is ready for you. President Trump honoring police officers who have fallen in the line of duty from the Oval Office just about an hour ago.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's a real honor to welcome all of you to the White House, the famous Oval Office. And we award the first ever Medals of Sacrifice to 3 heroic law enforcement officers from Palm Beach County, Florida. I went to the service. It was crazy. It was just horrible. Earlier today, Congressman Brian Mast, who's right here, introduced a bill to ensure this new medal will be awarded to any law enforcement officer or first responder who gives his or her life in the line of duty. I also want to recognize Laura and Eric Trump for their work to make this medal reality. Thank you, Laura, and thank you, Eric. Appreciate it very much. Thanks as well to Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's with us. Pam, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So busy. She's so busy, but you wouldn't miss it. Secret Service Director Sean Curran, Sean, wherever you may be. Hi, Sean. Congressman Byron Donalds, State Representative Meg Weinberger, and Dan Newland. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Byron. Thank you, everyone. Really great that you're here. I also want to express our gratitude to Major Paul Vercoda. Where is Paul? Paul. Thank you, Paul. Captain Ryan Mugridge. Thank you, Captain. Lieutenant Shandon Hood. Thank you, Shandon. Sergeant Scott Yoder. Sir. Thank you very much, Sergeant. Deputy Sheriff Christopher Farron. Thank you very much, Christopher. And Deputy Sheriff Chris Cameron. Thank you very much. Thank you. And all of the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. We have many people here representing that incredible office. I know it very well. Very special thanks as well to Alexander Arnault, who's a tremendous person with his father, who they own Tiffany, and they really devoted a tremendous time and effort to helping us design this beautiful medal. And thank you very much, Alexander. I appreciate that you came all the way from France, and the incredible team at Tiffany and Company. And Tiffany is doing great. He's a fantastic leader. You know all about the fantastic, the great Arnault family. And the fact that you came for this is very, very meaningful, actually. It's really incredible. But for crafting this beautiful medal, and I know he looked at it and he worked on it, and he had his best people working on it, and people are loving it. And this will go on for a long time. You'll be making that medal for a long time. Unfortunately, in one way it's very sad, but we properly respect the ones that have lost their lives. Today we also remember 3 remarkable heroes who will become the medal's first ever recipients. It's a big honor. Corporal Luis Piez Jr., Deputy Sheriff Ralph Butch Waller Jr., and Deputy Sheriff Ignacio Dan Diaz. And thank you very much. You're represented by family members who are, I was there with them. That was devastation. They were devastated. We're profoundly grateful to be joined by their loved ones. Corporal Piazza's former wife, Doris. Thank you, Doris, for being with us. Thank you very much. Thank you. And his son, Cameron, good-looking son, too. Deputy Waller's wife, Denise. Thank you, Denise, very much. And Deputy Diaz's daughter, Alexandria. Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to thank you all, and the three officers we recognize today were close friends. They were really close friends and colleagues, and together they dedicated their lives to protecting the people of Palm Beach County and well beyond. And they were beloved by everyone and respected by all, really, really top-of-the-line people. Countless times when I was in Florida, they proudly saved, and they saved a lot of lives. They were going around saving a lot of lives. Their reputation was incredible. They served in motorcades for presidents, called presidential motorcades, a very dangerous job, actually, and I was deeply honored to attend their memorial service last year. In a horrific accident in November, the three officers were working to restart one of their motorcycles on the shoulder of a road when they were struck by a SUV, struck dead center, and all three perished from their injuries. Essentially, they perished immediately. This was a terrible tragedy. It shook the entire Palm Beach community like very, very few events I've ever seen. All of Florida mourned their loss, and today our entire nation joins in honoring these three incredible patriots taken from us much too soon, much, much too soon. To Doris, Cameron, Denise, Alexandria, and to all of those who love these brave men, we are deeply sorry for your loss and eternally grateful for their sacrifice, their great, great sacrifice, just respected by everybody. We'll never forget their legacy, and we will never forget the debt we owe all of these great law enforcement heroes who have given their lives to keep our community safe and make America strong again. We have so many unbelievable people in the police department and other departments, first responders, firemen, a lot of brave, incredible people. And I'd now like to ask my son, Eric Trump, to say a few words, followed by Congressman Brian Mast and Alexander Arnault, who's going to be giving out the medals. Then I'll present the medals of sacrifice. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for being here, too. Thank you. Please.
Mr. President, thank you very much. My father and I attended that funeral that day, and I can't tell you how moving that experience was. And one simple question was asked: why is there no medal of valor, medal of sacrifice that commemorates law enforcement officers, first responders who have fallen in the line of duty? And Congressman Mast, he was there with me that day. He was with my father, and we said, we're going to take care of this problem. We're going to get involved. And the first call that was made was to the great Arnault family who owns Tiffany's, and they said, without hesitation, that they'd be honored to design something absolutely beautiful that's a tribute to these incredible officers, these incredible EMS responders. And here we are, roughly 6 months later, with something that's truly beautiful. I want to thank the Tiffany's family, the Arnault family, for all the work they put into their entire team. I can tell you this has been a nonstop effort. I want to thank the Congressman. Without the Congressman, his staff, we would not be here today. I want to thank the President for allowing us to do this. It's such an important mission. This medal is going to be given for hundreds and hundreds of years to come. And last but not least, I want to send, on behalf of this entire nation, on behalf of our entire family, the incredible families of the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and your incredible families. They made the ultimate sacrifice, and know that we all appreciate their dedication. Many of us knew them, have met them, and we love them very much, and I'm sure they're missed. But today, hopefully, this is a great tribute to them, and I know because of our wonderful President that this medal will be given out for many years to come. Thank you very much.
I would just start by thanking all of our law enforcement officers. The job is always dangerous, and you do it still every single day. And I would thank the families, because the job, as you are a reminder of, is often deadly. And I would thank you, Mr. President, because for the first time in our nation's history, you're willing to say to all of our first responders, all of our law enforcement, all of our firefighters, we're going to recognize that sacrifice from the office of the presidency for each and every one of them. And that's never taken place before, that recognition, that it's a job that's always dangerous and often deadly, and there's a debt that can never be repaid, but you're willing to recognize that debt. So thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing the debt.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Congressman, thank you very much for involving Tiffany in this process. We're very honored to having made these medals. Tiffany is a jeweler, as everyone knows it, but also a maker of American heritage. We were making the Medal of Honor in the 19th and early 20th century, and it's only natural that we followed with this heritage, just as we work on other very important American heirlooms. This medal was made in Providence, Rhode Island, in our largest factory in the U.S., out of silver, plated in 24-karat gold, just like the ceiling of this office, and represents the coat of arms of the United States. Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Byron, would you like to say a few words, please?
First, to be brief, to the families, we are so sorry for your sacrifice, but your officer from your family represented not just Palm Beach County, but the United States with honor. Mr. President, thank you for allowing us to go forward. To my colleague, Congressman Mass, thank you for your leadership. We will always honor first responders in the United States of America.
Thanks. Okay. So, you want to help us out with this? You're the one that made it. That's beautiful. So could we ask the families to step forward, please? Chair, would you like to help us? Please. Thank you Where's the families? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
The Medal of Sacrifice, thank you to those family members who have sacrificed so much, and for those active duty, those police officers, especially first responders who selflessly serve in every community throughout this great nation, local, state, and federal. God bless you and your families for putting so much on the line to protect us, as President Trump recognizes that today. Thank you to our sponsors on the right side of history, Colonial Metals Group. Paul Stone, the great CEO of this wonderful organization, encourages you to go to freegoldguide.com, because right then and there you'll see all of the no obligation values in shielding your savings, especially the best bet against inflation. There's no better company, quite frankly, than Colonial Metals Group. With the Chinese Communist Party playing war games against Taiwan or throwing retaliatory tariffs at us, although thanks to Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, we have a period of 90 days to look over this with the 10% threshold in place. But as they are trying to buy up prime American farmland around military bases, it's smart for you to not only have properties, assets, a 401k and IRA, but also gold and silver, tangible metals that can protect you and your family for the future. So scan that QR code now and go to freegoldguide.com/RSBN. Thank you to Paul Stone and Colonial Metals Group, the best in the business. They can help you protect yourself against inflation, shielding your savings today. Also, thank you to All Family Pharmacy. President Trump recently signed a powerful executive order to lower prescription drug prices across the country, a major step in the fight for affordable health care. But while the system drags its feet, one pharmacy is not waiting. That is allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN with code RSBN20. 20% off to pay less for more prescriptions. All Family Pharmacy is stepping up now to support that vision and put control back into the consumer's hands. And with the American people who have been taken advantage of from Big Pharma, a great summer sale running through the end of June with RSBN20, 20% off. Right now you can get everything 20% off site-wide, no insurance needed. This company works with a licensed doctor in all 50 states, and your prescriptions are shipped fast and directly to your door. Whether you're ordering ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency medical kits, or your daily medications, now is the time to stock up, just in case there's an emergency with all the crazy weather we've seen, especially over the course of the last few hours, even in Texas and throughout the Southeast, dating back months and months. So if you believe in medical freedom and being prepared for what's ahead, this is the pharmacy for you. Take control of your health today and make America healthy again with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN20 for 20% off. Thank you for your sponsorship on the right side of history. And we'll go to a quick commercial break. Stick with us as President Trump is attending a Kennedy Center dinner tonight for the board members. Of course, he's the honorary chair. Look forward to seeing you back in a moment.
You've heard how hard it can be to get access to medications like ivermectin, all the things they don't want you to take because they're actually effective and they don't cost all that much, right? You've seen that one before. So it's critical to have something like that on hand for any emergency and to be prepared in a time of crisis. And that's why I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're cutting through the nonsense and they make it easy to get hard to find medications when you need them most. They'll provide the prescription, no hoops to jump through, no waiting room, no hassle, and they deliver it right to your door. All Family Pharma even lets you order in bulk so you can stay ahead of the curve. Head over to allfamilypharmacy.com for 10% off your first order. Again, allfamilypharmacy.com. It's simple. Get the 10% savings. Be prepared.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, the 91-year-old formulator of Immuno 150, an incredible nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it. Now, Immuno 150 is different because it contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 other nutrients. Dr. Linus Pauling, known for vitamin C, was instrumental in convincing me to get into the mineral business in 1983. He said the world is sick due to a lack of minerals in topsoil. He said the body needs 60 minerals, but the average food and supplement has no more than 12. That's the reason for Immuno 150. Since its inception, it has had a powerful impact on the lives of thousands of people who could not get any help from various supplements they took or their doctor. Now I suggest you try Immuno 150 and see what 70 minerals, CoQ10, and 80 nutrients can do for you. Look at the 2 videos on our website. Millions have. Now consider placing an order for Immuno 150 online or call our toll-free number. I know you'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network Live. I'm Robert McNeely as President Trump is attending a Kennedy Center board member dinner this evening. And so much is exciting right now and today with the Take It Down Act being signed into law. Also, the prospects of President Trump's big, beautiful bill, and many CEOs and leaders talking how great this is for the United States and how great this is for the middle class and for countless consumers. Here's just what some of them are saying. Airlines for America, A4A, strongly supports the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and applauds the inclusion of a critical investment of $12.5 billion in modernizing the Federal Aviation Administration's air traffic facilities, systems, and infrastructure. And we know that Sean Duffy, the Transportation Secretary, has spoken in depth about this with the new plan and really said, as a former congressman himself, that this funding needed to give an overhaul to FAA could have been done separately or within this bill, whatever the congressman wanted to do ultimately. And we're seeing it being proposed in this one big, beautiful bill, this reconciliation package. For years, A4A has been sounding the alarm about ATC staffing shortages and antiquated equipment, such as copper wires and floppy disks. Given the challenges facing the air traffic system, these funds are a vital down payment on updating the technology that guides 27,000 flights, 2.7 million passengers, and 61,000 tons of cargo every day in the United States, and all while driving 5% of our nation's GDP. The legislation also makes smart, strategic investments in customs and border protection personnel and training for the aviation workforce of tomorrow while supporting American energy dominance here stateside. We encourage the House to pass this legislation and deliver on the Department of Transportation's plan to keep our skies safe and efficient. Modernizing our national airspace system is necessary, and passing the One Big Beautiful Bill Act will help ensure the United States has a world-class aviation system. The National Federation of Independent Business Senior Vice President for Advocacy, this is Adam Temple, on behalf of NFIB, the nation's leading small business advocacy organization, I write in support of the committee's legislative proposal to comply with reconciliation instructions contained within the concurrent resolution on the budget for fiscal year 2025. And as written, this is one of the most pro-small business pieces of tax legislation in recent history. The CTIA, the Wireless Association President and CEO, Ajit Pai, the wireless industry urges swift passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The critical spectrum and tax provisions in this legislation will allow the wireless industry to invest, create jobs, propel economic growth, and secure America's edge in innovation. Job Creators Network CEO Alfredo Ortiz, House Republicans' Big Beautiful Reconciliation Bill is exactly what the country needs to jumpstart the economy and guarantee the safety of prosperity of Americans for decades to come. It helps people of all backgrounds, but especially small businesses, the backbone of this country and our economy, by making permanent and expanding the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So that dates back to 2017, of course, in the first term for President Trump. It increases the small business tax deduction used by 26 million entrepreneurs annually from 20% to 23%. A tax cut Job Creators Network has long been the leading voice for the bill and also restores 100% of immediate expensing, allowing businesses to vote and write off investments, expansion, and modernization within their respective organizations. It will empower Main Street to expand, hire, raise wages, and reinvest in their communities while also providing significant tax relief for ordinary folks. All Republicans should unite to support this historic reconciliation bill. We need tax cuts now. Business Roundtable President COO Kristen Silverberg, Business Roundtable strongly supports the House budget reconciliation bill. This important legislation ensures a more competitive pro-growth tax system, secures our borders, and takes the necessary step of raising the debt ceiling. We urge members of the House Budget Committee to swiftly pass this measure. The Small Business and Entrepreneurship Council President and CEO Karen Kerrigan, SBE Council strongly supports the One Big Beautiful Bill and urges every member of the United States House of Representatives to vote in support of this economically powerful package. The One Big Beautiful Bill provides entrepreneurs and small businesses with the tools and policy environment they need to invest in their businesses and workforce, to innovate and strengthen their firms, and to lead to America's economic resurgence. The Associated Equipment Distributors Senior Vice President Daniel B. Fisher, this legislation will spur economic growth and job creation, incentivize capital investment, and ensure AED members, which supply and maintain the equipment needed to build, feed, and fuel America, remain competitive for years to come. We urge support for the bill and look forward to working with the entire House of Representatives to approve it as soon as possible. Also, the National Stone, Sand, and Gravel Association interim CEO Michelle Stanley, the NSSGA, appreciates that the One Big Beautiful Bill includes aggregates industry priorities, such as bonus depreciation, the research and development tax credit, small business deductions, keeping the corporate tax rate at the status quo, and protecting percentage depletion and estate taxes. Additionally, we appreciate the committee's commitment to safeguarding associations' tax-protected status. The NSSGA thanks the committee for introducing the bill and encourages the Ways and Means Committee to push it forward through the House of Representatives in a timely manner. And really, just to add to that, that's what Congress was voted to do, to be disruptors in the legislative process and put reforms through that make a massive difference for you, the American people, and especially for our middle class in this great country. The 60 Plus Association Chairman Jim Martin, it's a win for America. The President and the House Republicans are providing much needed tax relief to middle and low income seniors. And that was one of the promises on the campaign trail. If you remember, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and then the no tax on senior citizen benefits, because you have people going into debt as a result of working multiple jobs, being in the service industry, or their hard-earned savings going to government regulations. It's just not right. As we await President Trump, who will be at a Kennedy Center board dinner meeting. He is the chairman of the board, has a nice ring to it as well. I think temporarily borrowing that line from the late, great Frank Sinatra, the chairman of the board, of course. Association of Mature American Citizens Action, Senior Vice President Andrew J. Mangione Jr. This bill is a win for seniors, for taxpayers, and for the future of our country. We urge swift passage and full support from lawmakers who value liberty, accountability, and the financial security of AMAC members across the country. The Rate Coalition Executive Director Dan Combs. This legislation is a clear step forward, preserving a tax code that spurs job creation, boosts wages, and builds on the legacy created by President Trump and Congress under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Now is the time for Congress to come together, finish the work, and deliver a strong, stable economic foundation for American workers and businesses. A competitive corporate tax rate is key to keeping the United States ahead and a top destination for investment in the global economy. This bill goes a long way towards making that possible. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, we've said from the start, no tax on tips should include at Uber drivers and couriers. Grateful that this new House Ways and Means bill does just that. Thank you to President Trump and Representative Jason Smith for backing all tipped workers, no matter how they work. Let's get this done. DoorDash CEO Tony Zhu. Thanks to POTUS and Representative Jason Smith, millions of Dashers may soon get a tax break on their hard-earned tips, following advocacy from 40,000 Dashers, including dozens of D.C. Last week, the House's budget bill is an important step in making the hashtag no tax on tips a reality. And Americans for Prosperity Chief Government Affairs Officer Brent Gardner the Republican Party has an incredible opportunity to put the country on the right track for long-term economic growth by making the Trump tax cuts permanent and avoiding the largest tax hike in American history. And by doing this, this bill is smart, pro-growth policy that will provide certainly a new day for American businesses and lead to a sustained prosperity for millions of working Americans. This legislation also takes meaningful action to cut billions in special interest giveaways, reforming these broken programs and rooting out all the waste, fraud, and corruption that took place, ensuring hard-earned dollars are spent wisely. It's about making government work better for the people it serves. And that's a reason why DOGE was in there in the first place, to find all of this. They've done an extraordinary job in 100 plus days into the new administration. We're encouraged by the foundation laid in the House and stand ready to work with the Senate lawmakers to get this measure across the finish line. The moment for action is now. We urge all members to support this legislation and put the economy on the path to growth and opportunity. Concerned Veterans for America Executive Director John Vick. Failing to extend President Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act would impose the largest tax hike in U.S. history on American families and businesses. Congress must seize its opportunity to protect our long-term prosperity while improving the lives of middle-class Americans. The American people sent a clear message last November. They are tired of massive tax hikes, higher prices, reckless government spending, and Biden-era Green New Deal giveaways. Congress must answer this call by moving budget reconciliation forward. As veterans, we fought for a better future. A strong economy is the bedrock of the American dream. Today, CVA calls on Congress to act to promote the promise of long-term economic growth and prosperity for all Americans. The Libre Initiative, Executive Director Sandra Benitez. We commend the House Budget Committee for taking a positive step to ensure that we continue extending tax relief to middle-class families and job creators, including Latinos who cannot afford a tax hike at this time. Now it's critical that the United States House of Representatives has a full House vote as quickly as possible to approve this pro-growth legislation to help unleash prosperity and opportunity for all. The Libra Initiative looks forward to educating and activating the Latino community on the benefits of this critical legislation. America First Policy Institute, AFPI as you know it. Conservatives must deliver to the American people. The One Big Beautiful Bill cuts taxes for all Americans, secures the border, stands up to the woke mob by empowering parents and protecting women and children, and much, much more. The Independent Women's Center for Economic Opportunity Director Patrice Onwuka. Passing the Big Beautiful Bill is an imperative at this time. The stakes are high. If Congress fails to pass this bill, the average American will face a massive 22% tax hike or tax increase. 40 million families will see their child tax credit slashed in half, and 26 million small businesses face a 43.4% top tax rate. Republicans should not hold up tax relief for American families and small businesses to bail out high tax blue states. And there's a live look for you there in the East Room of the White House, with President Trump attending a Kennedy Center board dinner meeting. And there's Rick Grinnell in the room, among with every other dignitary that's coming into. I think Susie Wiles is there as well. The first female chief of staff to a president of the United States. She's doing an outstanding job. It's on the heels of the Middle East trip as well. And so an exciting time for this great country. A golden era. President Trump securing trillions and trillions of dollars in respective deals between the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, also the United Arab Emirates last week, if you caught any of that coverage. Finally, the Family Business Coalition. Family Business Coalition supports the One Big Beautiful Bill, which includes tax relief that will help family businesses expand, upgrade equipment, and hire more workers. FBC urges the House to take action now to move this process forward in Congress. So truly a golden era in the United States. And I think there is the Attorney General Pam Bondi enjoying this dinner as well. And I am excited to see someone who's loved the arts for a long, long time, just what the Kennedy Center will look like. If you remember President Trump's visit a few weeks back, he said the building is dilapidated, it needs to be redone, and really the committee itself, the honorary board, looking to do just that. And President Trump adding not only, I believe, his donations, but looking to raise money in private funds to make the Kennedy Center great once again. And how special will that be, especially for Secretary Kennedy, to see that happen, as it is a building not only honoring his family with their name, but his late great uncle, JFK, the 35th President of the United States. And how interesting is it to see the policies between John F. Kennedy and Donald J. Trump? Very, very similar. It's about tax cuts. It's relief for the middle class. It's not necessarily conservative nor liberal, but more populist in nature. Also a strong national security, having the ability to use all of it, but as a last result, with every option on the table. President Trump has been very clear in that message of peace through strength, as was President Kennedy back in the 1960s. And a famous speech before his untimely passing, talking about that true pursuit of peace and how important that is and how that transcends everything in the world. And our friend there, Lee Greenwood, of course, who we had the pleasure of interviewing a few weeks ago as well, someone who's been such a stalwart in country music and music as a whole. And now as everyone stands up, let's go live there now. Looks like President Trump is entering the East Room.
This is the great Steve Wynn. Hi, Steve. Hello, everybody. Hello. What a group of good friends. We're going to bring this place back. It's not so good. I thought it was going to be this beautiful. I hadn't been there in a while. I said, this is going to be beautiful. It's not looking too good, but we're going to bring it back. Why don't we sit down, tell you about our day. Should I tell you about the day first? Yeah. My little conversation with a nice gentleman named Vladimir Putin. But we had a good talk, and I think that progress is being made. 5,000 young soldiers are being killed every single week on average. Can you believe 5,000? And it's actually a number probably worse than that, in addition to other people that are being killed in towns. And we're trying to stop it. It's a bloodbath. It's an absolute bloodbath. I've seen satellite pictures that are so bad, so horrible, and that's to think that in this day and age we're living with this horrible thing that's going on, and we're doing the best we can. This was not our war. This was not me. We're doing something from the last administration, how they allowed that to happen. It wouldn't have happened. It would have never happened. And you know, the Ukraine-Russia wouldn't have happened. But I'll tell you what else wouldn't have happened. October 7th would not have happened. This was a terrible thing also. A lot of bad things happened in the last 4 years. But good things are happening now. We had a tremendous visit in the Middle East. We went to Qatar. We saw Saudi Arabia, all the top people in UAE. And we brought back about $5.1 trillion. That's not bad. That's not bad. And it's being credited as one of the maybe the most successful visit that anybody's ever made to any place. There's never been anything like this. Hundreds of planes, big wide-body planes ordered. Boeing, getting them from Boeing, but I think an order of 148 planes. It's a lot of 777s. Those are the big ones, or the 787 Dreamliners, and orders of everything. The AI is going wild. I hope it's as good as people say, because otherwise some people are going to be pretty disappointed. But it seems like it is. A lot of smart people are doing it. But massive orders into our country. We did 1.4 trillion in one case. We did 2 trillion in another case. Numbers that nobody's ever really heard of before. And our relationship is fantastic with those 3 beautiful places. I mean, they're incredible. Money is like no place else, probably anywhere. Well, we have more money, but we didn't use it right. But that's all right. Now we're starting to. We were losing in trade $5 billion a day, and now because of tariffs and other things, we're making $1 billion a day, and the tariffs haven't even really kicked in. It's a big difference. It was, for the last 4 years have been a disaster for us with trade and, frankly, with everything else. So we're here for a different reason tonight. We're going to have to fix this one, too. We're fixing everything. We're going around Mr. Fix-It, Mrs. Fix-It. Anybody want to join me? But the Kennedy Center, when I said I'll do this, I hadn't been there. That's the last time I'll take a job without looking at it. And but it's got a tremendous amount. Lindsey Graham and some people put in the budget either 200 or $250 million. Money was spent there. Tremendous amounts of money was spent there over the last 10 years. I don't know where they spent it. They certainly didn't spend it on wallpaper, carpet, or painting. And they had over $200 million was spent. So I don't know what's going on. Pam, are you here? You hear that? Look, when I hear that, I say, what? Where, Pam, where did all this money go? It's crazy. It's crazy what's happened with our country in that regard. You know, it's to build things. Go back to the Woolman rink. They went for years, 12 years without getting a rink, and I got it built in 3 months for a fraction, like a tiny fraction. They had spent over $20 million. They never got it opened. I said, I want my kids to go ice skating before they're too old. They don't want to go ice skating anymore. I used to watch it from my window. I used to watch people, nobody working, and spending money like crazy. And as you know, I got it built very quickly. This is well, maybe a more difficult. That was pretty easy, actually. That was pretty. We had cement mixers from the rink all the way back into Harlem. We poured one contiguous pour over a period of a day and a half. They would pour a little section, then another little section, and when they put water, it all leaked. Surprisingly, you know. So it was fun, but I love construction. That's, I guess, why I like this a little, because we're going to have to redo it. So I'm honored to welcome exceptionally talented and committed group of patriots. You're amazing people. This is an amazing board, I'll tell you. And I got so many calls from people, could I get on the board? You have a lot of people that are not so much in love with me right now because I couldn't get them on the board. But because the board is taken. But we're going to turn it around, and the Kennedy Center Board of Trustees, you're here, and in many cases you have your spouses. And I want to thank Rick Grinnell. Where's Rick? Where is Rick? Hello, Rick. He did a great job. He used to walk into the Justice Department with stuff under showing all the horrible things that had gone on in our country. He had a lot of courage. And he's going to be with me for a long time, different things. He seems to be a troubleshooter. I say, how about Kennedy Center? Let's fix that one up. And tremendous strides have been made. You'll be hearing about that in a second. But I want to thank the entire board for the incredible work and all the fundraising efforts. We're going to raise some funds, but we're getting a lot of funds also from Congress because they want to see this thing good. You know, we have the 250th year anniversary coming up, and this building is going to be a primary focus in D.C. And it's got the potential for greatness. If it didn't, I wouldn't have done it. But it has a great plan. It's got great sound. It's got a lot of things that, you know, if you don't have good sound, you can forget it. You're never going to. They've been trying to do things over at the at Lincoln Center. All my life I've been watching. They rip it down, build it up, rip it down. You know, some of the greatest sound are buildings built in the 1850s out of pure marble. And you get up and you can just talk lightly and they hear you back 100 rows. But and if you don't have sound, I think there's a certain amount of luck. You hire sound engineers, they get a lot of money, and then you open the building and you can't hear anything. So we're going to do some good things, but the basics are there. The location is phenomenal. The importance of the building is phenomenal. And we'll have some very interesting plans. I always thought they should have built a beautiful performing center, open air, facing out over the Potomac. They didn't do that. They built these crazy rooms underneath. They built 3 tiny little stages, very expensive. Someday maybe somebody will occupy one. They're underground. In fact, when I looked from a distance, you know, you see these like hubs, concrete hubs, and I thought it was modern art. You know, well, here we go with the modern art blocking everybody's view. And when I actually went over there, I said, no, it wasn't modern art. It was meant for a door to be in, so you go down to these rooms. So I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they spent a lot of money. And it's just not possible that they could have spent it so poorly. But we're going to turn it around. That's what I love doing. I love turning things around. Turnaround artist. I'm doing that with the country. Believe me, we're doing it. We're doing a job. We are hot. We are hot. The country is hot. We, in a short period, look, we've been there for 100 days plus a few days, and as they said, the King of Saudi Arabia said, your place, your country is a whole different image now. We were a laughing stock, an absolute laughing stock, but we're not a laughing stock any longer. And, you know, I was talking to, as I said, President Putin for 2.5 hours. That was being very seriously listened to. We don't like what's happening. We don't like that we should have ever been involved. Would have never happened. But we're respected again as a country. You know, one thing that I tell you that I think is amazing, if you remember about 8 months ago, the big story was that nobody wants to join our military. We couldn't have any, people weren't joining. And they weren't proud of our country. They weren't joining police forces all over the country, Houston, Dallas, all over the country, New York. And now we have a record-setting enlistment in the military. Think of that, record-setting. The most in 38 years, but it's probably more than that. They started taking the numbers, Susie, 38 years ago, right? But the most in 30 years, probably the most ever, I don't know. But we have record-setting young people that want to join the military, and that's incredible. To have that is just absolutely incredible. And to think that 8 months ago we were all listening to the fact that this was before the election. 8 months ago we were listening to the fact that we wouldn't have any, we wouldn't have anybody in our military. I mean, nobody. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force. I'm so proud of Space Force because we got that going. We started Space Force and they wanted to terminate it, and the military backed up. And they said, you're not going to do that. We were third in space, and now we're number 1 in space by a lot. They've done a great job. They had some great commanders in Space Force. But, you know, ultimately it's going to be truly one of the most important things we've ever done because it's all heading to space. And I'm not talking about just experimental things that we do because a lot of people don't understand that. We can understand that. But we're, in terms of defense and offense of our country, it's going to be very, very important. We're number 1 in space by a long shot. The Kennedy Center mission is to be the crown jewel of the arts and culture in our nation's capital. And under our new leadership, we're going to take this revered institution to heights that it's never seen before. I think we can take this to really some, because we have the right place. We have all the politicians, and then we have the people that want to get to know the politicians for lots of bad reasons. And, you know, we have everybody here. They have to be here for something, sometime. I've got total confidence in the just great team that Rick and the group have put together. Sergio's done fantastically. We're especially pleased to be joined tonight by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, great guy. Great guy. Where is Marco? He's great. I'm telling you, he was born for this. He loves it. You see him, he's in one country, another country. I think he loves it. But he's so respected everywhere he goes, and I know how tough he is because I used to have to be up there with him. He was not nice. He was a tough one. He was as good as you get. I didn't know that we would end up being this close. We like each other. I think I can speak for him. I can speak for myself, but I like him, and he's done a fantastic job, and he's really, really working. And we're getting relationships that we lost that were very important for us in many ways. And so I want to thank Marco, and Marco's on the board, Attorney General Pam Bondi, who I've known so long, and she's married to the best-looking guy in the room, I must admit. But she is the man. She has been amazing. She's so respected, and she's really delving into some tough territory. She sees what's happened and what's going to happen, and she knows before anybody else. She's just a fantastic person. She's got a great staff that's surrounding her, and I think she's just a star. But I've known that for a long time. I'm not surprised at all. So thank you very much, Pam, for the job you do. And by the way, she was the Attorney General of Florida, so she had plenty for a long time and never had a problem. I can't remember a problem, and she kept everybody safe, and they felt very secure. Now she's doing it on an even bigger. Who would have thought it would have been a much bigger level, right? But she gets it. Secretary Howard Lutnick is here with his wife Allison, and he's great. He went with us to that incredible 4-day little journey that we had, and we saw some things that were incredible. But everybody respects him. Did a great job in business. He built a firm twice. His firm was at the top of the World Trade Center when the planes hit, and he was amazing story. He was always Allison. Good job. You got him to take your boy, right? Years ago on that horrible date, when you think of it. So Howard would always be, he was built Cantor Fitzgerald, and he built it in a very top firm. They had the top 3 floors of the World Trade Center, the building, the first building that was hit. And he was always there at 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. A lot of the stock guys, they have to do that. Someday you'll explain to me why. Probably insider trading, Pam. I don't know. It's probably. But whatever the hell reason, he was there always at 5:30 or 6 o'clock. And first time ever, like almost ever, his wife was after him for years to take their son to school. He was a young boy, very young, like early grades, and he would say, no, I can't. This was years after like 2 or 3 years of being harassed by Allison. It was very tough. A great wife, beautiful wife, but she's very, very tough. And finally, he did it. He took his boy, and it was on that day, and he dropped the boy off at 8:30 and started driving down the West Side Highway, and he would have been in that building, and every single person died in your firm. He had lost everybody. And with the exception of a few people in Europe and maybe a couple of other places, small, because they were all very New York-centric, and every single one of them died, including your brother. And what he did was incredible, actually. He rebuilt the firm, and he gave a percentage of it for years to the people, the families of the people that died. And the new firm became more successful than the old firm, using the same name, Cantor Fitzgerald, and he rebuilt it step by step by step. And I mean, that's why I said I have to get this guy if I have a chance, if I ever do. And he was very happy. They were doing great. They were doing record business. But when I said, how about coming over to commerce, a little thing called commerce, and now I don't think you could ever go back into that world because it's so big. He and Scott are in charge of, along with others that are great, but they're in charge of the biggest deal ever made in history. It's the whole tariffs. We've taken in trillions of dollars, trillions. And we've been hurt very badly by other countries that did this to us for 20, 25 years. They were taking advantage of us. We never did anything. But now we're doing it to them, and fairly, I'll tell you what, modestly. But we'll be taking, and we are taking in right now, 25% in cars, 25% on steel and aluminum, 25% on other things, and that'll be going up to 50, 75, maybe 100 in some cases. We have to get our pharmaceutical industry back. Once we establish that in another couple of weeks, it'll start roaring back. It's already roaring back because they know we're doing it. And it's really been, you've done a great job. But he said to me the other day, this is so big. These numbers are big. Cantor Fitzgerald doesn't look so big anymore. We see numbers, we talk in the trillions now. Think of it, $5.1 trillion. Nobody talks, but we're talking big numbers, and he's doing a great job. He did a great job before. Chief of Staff Susie Welsh, she's considered the most powerful woman anywhere in the world. She is. She's the most powerful woman in the world. A lot of people are saying that, but she had a couple of articles, and I said, you know, it's actually true. She can wipe out a country with just a mere phone call. Think of it. That's the end of the country. But she's great. She's been, I mean, I knew because we won Florida 3 times and won it. You know, Florida didn't used to be a red state. It was a blue state. When I first ran, that was a blue state. And now it's a seriously red state. And it got more and more, and we're going to keep it that way. But Susie ran it, and we won by a landslide, and a Republican hadn't won. You know, you had a Democrat senator, you had 2 Democrat senators, but you had a Democrat governor, you had a lot of Democrats. And so we won in a landslide. I said, good. Then the next time I won again in a much bigger landslide, and anybody I endorsed also won. And I said, that's good. And then when it came time to do this, after the election was rigged, the second one was rigged, whether you like it or not, it was rigged like nobody's ever seen. And now people are seeing it. Now people don't even fight me. You know, they used to say, sure, it's not really that nice to say. I'm an honest, it was rigged. And unfortunately, that's what happened. You look at some of the things that happened. All of these things would have never happened. But when it came time to thinking about doing it again, I didn't think I'd have to do that. I said, you know, I think I'm going to take that woman, my friend now, but at the time I didn't know. Her father was Pat Summerall, who was a great football player, was probably a greater announcer for 28 years for the NFL. But that tells me, you know, because I'm a big believer in the genes, person's genes. And Susie was, I said, you know, let's use Susie. She did a great job in Florida for me twice. We beat every Democrat by numbers that they never saw before. I said, let's use, and she took over and she did great. Chris was fantastic, but she had a group of people that she brought with her, and there was no looking back. We started off leading by a lot, and it only got bigger and bigger and bigger. We had a couple of challenges that didn't work out too well, worked out well for us, but Susie was fantastic, and now she's the chief of staff of the president, and she really makes it work. And she's the first woman, this is shocking to me, because, you know, I thought we were beyond that, first woman chief of staff in the history of the country, right? So. And she's doing a great job, and, you know, those men are scared. She sits in the back of the room. She watches them like this. She doesn't want publicity. She doesn't want to be on camera. She doesn't want stories. But they're up there yapping, yapping, yapping. And if they start yapping the wrong way, it's not pleasant for them. She's great. And we have a friend of mine, a man that I endorsed, and he proudly went through the roof, Jeff Landry, governor of Louisiana. Did my endorsement mean much? When I endorsed you, he became a rocket ship, right? We avoided, what I say it?
We won in the first round.
Yeah, it was good. We didn't want to run. We didn't want to go a second round. He went up and won everything, and he's a great governor, great attorney general, great governor. So it's great to have you. And we have so many people here that we're not going to do that, but we may play around in a little while because we're going to have some fun tonight. And we'll talk about this, but we'll talk about other things. But we might talk about some of the questions you may have. We're looking to get the one great, big, beautiful bill. It will be the greatest tax cuts in history. If we don't get it, that means the Democrats will have stopped us, and that means people will get a 68% tax increase, the largest in history. And if we do get it, we're going to have the largest tax decrease in history. And all my life I've watched politicians screaming, we will cut your taxes. This is the only group where they say we're going to raise your taxes and they think they're going to win. There's something wrong with them. I don't know what the hell is going on. We're going to raise your taxes. And people say, that's strange. I've never heard it before. When we took over in recent months, the Kennedy Center was in dire shape. As I saw on my tour a few weeks ago, the building is falling apart. I don't want to scare people. It's in fine shape, but it's falling apart. That means, we have to see, we have Les Mis. We're opening up with Les Mis and some other things. We have Mrs. Fisher here, and she said, you know what works? Anything Broadway. So we're signing Phantom of the Opera. We're signing a lot of great Broadway, and we'll have them run for a while. And I think you're going to do very well. But it's been neglected very badly, and it needs an infusion of different things, including probably funds. But I think we're going to do very well when we get some money from Congress to fix it, because it's so important. The previous leadership wasted millions and millions of dollars and handed us a budget deficit of $26 million. Can you believe that? In addition, the programming was out of control with rampant political propaganda, DEI, and inappropriate shows. We had some very inappropriate shows, to put it very nicely. They had dance parties for, quote, queer and trans youth. And I guess that's all right for certain people, quote. And I'm just quoting, I'm not saying it. Queer and trans youth. That wasn't working out too well. They had a Marxist anti-police performance. And they had lesbian-only Shakespeare, which is different. Who thinks of these ideas, really? It's different. It's different. Oh, we're bringing our country back so fast. The military is so much better. Everything, it's just gone. They had people who were paying them $400,000 or $500,000 a year to teach DEI. Just 12 weeks, our new board has balanced the budget. Think of that in 2026 budget. That's a pretty good job you've done. So that's amazing. So the 2026, I told you it was 25 million under. It's balanced now for the fiscal year. Eliminated DEI initiatives in all cases. Brought back family-friendly programming that will attract large audiences once again, and launched a plan to renovate the building and reclaim the grandeur as a landmark, really a Washington landmark, which it always was. The Kennedy Center will also play an important role in our national celebration to commemorate the 250th anniversary of America's founding. So we have three really big. We have that. We have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. That's a big deal. And we have the Olympics, and we have the World Cup. And, maybe I got lucky, because I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. I did nothing to help the 250th anniversary, because if I take credit for that one, then you'll say, I think he's exaggerating. But two of the three, I absolutely, I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup. And I said to myself when I got them, it was my first term I got them, President Obama would not take the calls from the Olympic Committee, refused to take the calls. And I think because he traveled to Oslo or wherever he went, and very far away, in order to get the Olympics, previous Olympics. And I said, well, that's great. That means we got it, because what president would travel to come in fourth place, which is what we came in, fourth place. And so he was so angry he wouldn't take the call. So I got a call from, at the time, the mayor of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is not looking too good with the water. We just sent so much water down their way, they didn't want to take it because it was bad for the environment. I said, no, water's good for the environment. They would have had it when I told them to get it. They wouldn't have had the fires, or it would have been very small. But we took so much, and we were looking at the Olympics. We were looking at other things, and Obama went there, and all that travel, all that everything. And think, who would go there unless you know the answer? You have to know the answer. You can't be embarrassed as president. No president's ever done that. And I give him credit. He went, but he should have known the answer. This called deal making. And he didn't. And they put him at fourth. And he was so angry that it hurt his whole thing. He didn't want to talk to anybody. So I got a call from the mayor, and he said, sir, you're the president-elect. I was president-elect at the time. The president will not speak to the Olympic Committee. And I understand that, but a little bit his fault, I guess. He was very embarrassed by that. And I said, I'll speak to him. And I spoke to this gentleman who was obviously Scandinavian, seriously Scandinavian, and very nice. I couldn't get him off the phone because he was so starved for love. He just kept, I must have had him for 2 hours. I couldn't. I said, sir, I have to go. I'm president-elect. Yes. All I said to him, yes, 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 we will take good care. They wanted to know that if they choose us for the Olympics, will we treat them nicely? And I said, we're going to treat you like so well, like you've never been treated. And then he wanted to talk about anything because nobody would talk to him. Now he talks to me. And we got the Olympics, and then we got through Johnny, who's the boss. He's a friend of mine. We got the World Cup. I got them both. And I said, man, I won't be president. I got the Olympics and the World Cup, and I won't be president. And they're going to forget that I got them. Nobody's going to mention it because, you know, a little bit, that's the way life is. And then they rigged the election. And then I said, you know what I'll do? I'll run again, and I'll shove it up their ass. And that's what I did. And all of a sudden, I then realized, I said, you know what? I got the Olympics, I got the World Cup, and I got the 250th. Look at the way this works out. So if they would have left us alone and wouldn't have cheated on the election and wouldn't have rigged it, I would have been retired right now. I would have been happily doing something else. And instead, they have me for 4 more years. Can you believe it? Yeah. So it has been. So instead of putting forward programming that tears our country down and tears our country apart, the Kennedy Center should be the nation's premier venue for lifting up the best of our country and lifting up the American arts, theater, music, and culture. And together, it's really an honor to be with. I mean, I have so many friends on the board. This is a hot board, just like we have a hot country. You know, we have a hot country. Our country was stone cold 8 months ago. It all began on November 5th. Does everybody know that was Election Day? And from that moment on, and then January 20th came, and what we've done, we have almost no inflation. Our energy prices are way down. Our gasoline costs are way down. Groceries are way down. Eggs. Remember, they hit me with eggs my first week. Sir, the fake news, those people right there, they're saying, sir, eggs have gone through the roof. They were doubling and tripling eggs. I said, I don't know what I've just got here, excuse me. And through she's done a great job, Brooke Rollins, Secretary of Agriculture. Anyway, the prices came down. They didn't want us to, we had the egg roll here a couple of weeks ago for Easter. They didn't want us to order eggs. They wanted the eggs to be made out of plastic. They wanted plastic. I said, I'm not going to do that. But by the time it came around, the egg prices are way down. The groceries are way down. Everything is way down. We are just doing great. I mean, think of it. No inflation, and we're taking in billions, hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs that we never did before. We got a hot country right now. We have a country that people are proud to be a part of. So we're going to honor the legacy of President Kennedy, his great legacy, and we'll create the best and most beautiful home for the performing arts anywhere in the country and many other things also. I want to thank you again. We're going to have some fun working together. We're going to make this a fun project. That's what I thought. Until I walked into the building, I said, this won't be the fun I thought, but it is fun. I like to create, you like to create. Most of the people in the room like to create, just like Bob Kraft created the New England Patriots. He happens to be here. And he tells me he has a great new quarterback, so we're going to see. You know, a lot of people make that statement. We're going to find out, but I have a feeling you're going to be right. You've been right about a lot of things, but he was right about Tom Brady, right? He got him almost the last draft choice in the last round, 6th round, whatever it was. How did he work out, Tom Brady? Okay? Not bad? Good, right? But Bob's here, and his wife, as you know, Dana, she's on the board. And she's much younger than him, so he wanted to come tonight with her. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice when you have a husband that will travel with you to the board, and he's a big shot, too? And he's a great guy. He's been my friend for a long time. So I'd like to ask, if I might, Secretary Rubio, and followed by, we're going to ask Sergio to say a couple of words, and then Rick Grinnell, and we'll have a little fun tonight. And you know what they can do? If they can, relatively quietly, they can start serving the meal. So by the time we're all finished, we get the hell out of here, we go home, and we have our board all formed, and we can start doing that quietly. And so Marco, please come up and say a few words. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It's an unusual day. You know, it's not often you wake up in the morning and your first meeting is with the Pope and your last meeting is a dinner with the President of the United States. That's a heck of a day. But it actually is an honor to be a part of this administration, Mr. President. It's actually a very unique situation. I don't know how many of you got to see the President's speech in Saudi Arabia. I think it will go down as one of the most profound foreign policy speeches in American history. And where it outlined a vision for the future and a vision of prosperity. And I tell people, we have a president of peace. In fact, I'll tell you kind of an aside, one of the cardinals I was meeting with, Mr. President, the day before the papal mass said to me, you know, it's very unusual for us. It's, you know, we have an American president that wants peace, and it's some of the Europeans that are constantly talking about doing war stuff. So it's kind of the world's upside down in their mind right now. It's usually the other way around. And it's a great honor to work for a president who literally spends half his day, maybe more, trying to stop wars, end wars, prevent wars. And it's an extraordinary thing to be a part of, and thank you for your leadership on that front. He's a key part of the speech he gave, and I just summarize it this way. Our president is a builder, not a bomber. He wants to make things. He wants to build things. He wants people to have prosperity and to be happy. And frankly, he knows we have to have national defense because, of course, that's the world we live in. But I think one of the things that troubles him deeply is how much money has to be spent on some of this military and war, because it's just the way the nature of the world is. He'd much rather be spending growing the economy and doing the deals that we've seen, and he's trying to convince other countries of that as well. It's an honor to be a part of this tonight for a few moments because you have an opportunity here. You know, the Kennedy Center is a showcase of American excellence in arts and culture, and that's what it needs to be again. And the work that Rick and his team are doing, both to bring the building and the actual function of the organization to reflect that, but the programming is the other thing we're really excited to see, the programming, the shows that are coming, that will be a highlight of American excellence and of American culture and American entertainment. And just so you know the influence that American culture has around the world in a positive way, a few months ago, the President hosted the Prime Minister of Italy down in Florida, and her English is excellent, very good English. And I asked her, why is your English so good? How it was really good. You know what she said? You know where she learned English? Michael Jackson. Not from him, not like personally, he wasn't doing the lessons, from his music. But what it tells you is the impact that American culture has on the world in such a positive way, and it can have such an influence. And the Kennedy Center is a showcase for it. So we're excited to see what you're leading here, and all of you contributing towards that. And we're excited to see also the restoration of that building. That really should be a showcase and something that we're proud of. That when people come to Washington, when people come to America, they want to see the shows that reflect the greatness of our culture and society, and in a building run by an organization that is reflective of excellence as well. So it's an honor to be here tonight. I want to thank all of you for contributing to this, because it's important that this board and everyone that's involved in it, and Rick and his team, are doing a great job of making sure that your dollars and everything you've made possible will be well spent, so we'll have a treasure in our hands for future generations. I think, Sergio, you want to come up here now and tell us about Sergio Gore for personnel.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here with all of you. We're here to honor the spirit that makes America exceptional. Under President Trump's leadership, we're witnessing the revitalization of American culture, a return to the values that fuel our greatness. I can't think of a better chairman of the Kennedy Center than President Trump. And a lot of you know his incredible record when it comes to dealing with these individuals who become American icons. So from Michael Jackson to hosting Pavarotti many times, to Andrea Bocelli, to incredible individuals that have changed the landscape of art and music. A couple of years ago, we were publishing a book, and it was called Letters to Trump. And we would open a box that's been closed for decades. And the letters that would show up in these boxes were just absolutely incredible. And there was a letter from 1986, and it was written to, "Dear Donald, I have a new show opening up and I'd love for you to attend. It's called Phantom of the Opera. Signed, Andrew Lloyd Webber. And so there's nobody more qualified to lead this institution than President Donald Trump. America's had an incredible run for the last 250 years, minus the last 4 under the previous administration. And so we hope under his leadership, under his vision, under this entire team, the next 250 will be just as great. I want to thank all the individuals who have contributed to the Kennedy Center. Howard Lutnick, 7-figure donation, thank you. And we have a lot of other individuals who are looking to contribute. Anthony, you're nothing but cash, we know that. With that, I want to bring up our incredible director who's leading up the day-to-day activities of the Kennedy Center, Ambassador Rick Grinnell.
I'll be very quick. First of all, how great is it to have a president who actually cares about the Arts Center? That's what I love best, is that he actually cares. He came, he saw the problem, and he immediately said, I'm going to call Congress and we're going to try to fix it. This is traditionally a Democrat territory, except President Trump says, I want to do this. I have to tell you, President Trump is actually saving the Kennedy Center, because there is discussion right now of whether or not to take it down. The deferred maintenance of the Kennedy Center is criminal. It has been terrible. Mr. President, we said today in our board meeting, our great new CFO went through the 24 and 25 budgets of the Kennedy Center and found $26 million in phantom revenue, fake revenue. It's criminal. We're going to refer this to the U.S. Attorney's Office here. We're lucky enough to have the Attorney General on the board of the Kennedy Center who heard all the details today. She heard the details. And this is unacceptable in America, to have a fake revenue of $26 million fraud on previous donors. It's unacceptable. But I'm here to tell you that what we have is total transparency now. We want people to go through the budget. We want them to question it. We announced our program today, which is literally shocking the media, because they're saying, okay, this is pretty good. We're not getting criticized for the programming, because guess what, Mr. President? When you pick programs that are popular with the public, they respond. People buy tickets. It is popular when you do programming for the masses. As I said today, I am somebody who loves niche programming in the arts. I am somebody who embraces it. It's not for everybody, but I like to be challenged by the arts. I like it when somebody can teach me and make me a little bit uncomfortable in a show. But one thing that we're not going to do at the Kennedy Center is inappropriate content for children. We're going to protect children, and we're going to make sure that we are absolutely not losing money on our program. We can't do arts education if we don't have enough money and we have fake revenue coming in. So I promise you, and this board today responded incredibly well. I can't thank you all enough. Jennifer, thank you for being the chair. Thank you for every single board member. Your commitment is amazing. And as President Trump said, we're going to do great things. Everyone needs to go out and buy tickets to Les Mis and Porgy and Bess, which are currently being right now about to launch. We're building the stages, and we're getting ready to have premier entertainment at America's premier arts institution. Thank you very much.
And President Trump enjoying a Kennedy Center dinner tonight in the East Room with remarks not only from the 47th President of the United States, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And I agree with Mr. Rubio. President Trump's speech in Saudi Arabia will go down as one of the greatest foreign policy speeches in American history, and his dedication to the arts. And I cannot express enough, the Letters to Trump book is a phenomenal one to get. If you do not have it, it really details all of those people who somehow turned on him over the years, these celebrities that were all about President Donald Trump until he came down that golden escalator. So it's rather entertaining, but also eye-opening to American history. And think about it, as the gentleman said, President Trump getting a personal invitation from a new show in 1986, The Phantom of the Opera, by none other than Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber. President Trump has been a cultural icon for years and years now because he thought big, he had the momentum, went after it, and now is in his greatest role yet as the 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, MyPillow.com. It is the go-to, MyPillow.com/RSBN for the Giza Dream Sheet Sale. Only $49.98, any color, any size. Don't delay. Call today, 800-836-7566. Support Mr. Mike Lindell as he supports not only free speech and election integrity, but getting a great deal for you with the quality product at mypillow.com/RSBN. Always great to see the gentleman from Minnesota with his manufacturing facilities up north doing a remarkable job to get you a good night's rest so you can have a productive day. mypillow.com/RSBN. Thank you for sponsoring us here on the right side of history. Today's been a jam-packed day of news, and we thank President Trump and the administration for the Take It Down Act being signed into law. Of course, this lovely dinner tonight at the White House with many dignitaries, and President Trump getting to catch up with friends like Robert Kraft from the New England Patriots to Lee Greenwood, the great country legend, and Rick Grinnell, some great words of wisdom as well for revamping the Kennedy Center, which was much needed. And think about that, another Doge issue there, all of that fraud. $26 million of donations fraudulently reported by those deep state globalists, the League of Shadows, their agenda coming to an end, and thank God for that. And all this winning. I think I'm actually tired from the fight, and winning, and it's been great. We're just getting started. It's always a pleasure to cover all of this for you on the right side of history. If you like what you see, please feel free to donate to RSBN. You can text RSBN to 801-801 or go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. It's a great way to keep citizen journalism alive. And for a decade, we've been your go-to rally network. And now we've turned into your go-to live desk for everything inside and outside of the Beltway. And a great way to keep tabs on your 47th president, your 50th vice president, and the 119th Congress. And now on the docket for them, as President Trump outlined so many great successes, not only last week with trillions of dollars coming in deals from the Middle East, but everything that happened today, Monday, May 19th. It's something Republicans need to do. The big, beautiful bill. We'll see what happens there, as many of the people in the business community and in labor and public and private sectors all agreeing this is a great bill for the United States and for the American workers. We read through that list. So that'll be the next big thing on Capitol Hill that can make a massive difference for you, the American people, that will then be signed into law by President Trump. Well, it's just 1 minute after 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock somewhere on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us this evening on RSBN. Unless there's breaking news, we will say good night to you. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and stay tuned with us for really a full week of great breaking news. And as Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, what a day to start greeting the Pope, the new American Pope, Pope Leo XIV, and then concluding the day with a dinner at the White House with none other than President Trump and dignitaries who care so much about arts and culture. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio looking fresh, looking good, working as hard as President Trump I believe now he's been in at least 16 different nations over the course of this tenure, and he doesn't stop as he continues to go on trip after trip after trip, sharing that peace through strength message. For all of my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network Live, I'm Robert McNeely. Good night, God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
To celebrate our newest launch, Rev 7, I'm bringing you an amazing introductory offer, plus an exclusive overstock sale that you're not going to want to miss. Rev 7 is our premium energy drink that tastes great and gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. That's because there's no sugar and no caffeine. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7 that for a limited time you can try our 3-pack absolutely free. Or check out our Percale bed sheets. I can't believe I'm even going to say this. Every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88, even the queens and kings. Inventory is extremely limited, so order now.